you and I. Love's equation, our design. Is it gravity, your heart and mine? All I know is the stars have aligned. I could count the ways you lit up my life, but I wouldn't try. Your science I can't describe. Love unexplainably taking flight like a satellite. Ask me anything you'd like. I could answer every why. Oh, you wake me up like the morning light. Even darkness can't dim your bright eyes. You're the rising sun, the kindest sign that we'll be alright. Your science I can't describe. Love unexplainably taking flight like a satellite this night.
This matchup features Angel City from Los Angeles and Victorian Roller Derby League, all the way from Australia. I'm going to give you a quick heads up on the skaters this afternoon. Skating in the blue will be Victorian. Their skaters are 039 Jiggly Tough, 08 Pope Friction, 119 Madden, 20 L'Orange, 21 is Vanessa Shredgrave, 23 is Gin and Jukes, 242 Snappa, 2627 Hells Yeah, 29 is Booga, 35 Beef, number 4000 is Anna Pavuova, 66 is Barry, 75 Great Dane, 83 Curly Burley, and number 9 Lethal.
And presenting in the white, Angel City, number 10, OMG WTF, 1031 Whiskey Von Sweets, 215 Bulgogi, 26 Schadenfreude, 28 Death Down Under, 389 is Stiletto, 39 Cracker Jack, 42 Blackman, 422 Low Betancourt, 507 Rachel Rotten, 617 Gatto Fabulez, 664 Psycho, 76 Queen Lucia Tifa, number 87 Voltarine Deslayer, and number 94 Octane Jane.
All right, thanks, Buns. And we're off.
All right, we are go, go, go as number 4000, Anna Pavuova for Victorian Roller Derby League. Lead jammer, jam number 1, game number 2 of the hometown throwdown. Schadenfreude clears the pack. Now on a scoring pass as well as Anna Pavuova bumps to the inside, taps the hips, calls it off, but we will see 3 points up for Angel City and only 2 for VRDL. So Angel City with the early steal. Good Friday afternoon to you, depending on where you are. Scott Chicken bringing you this game, game number 2 of the tournament. In our first game, we had the Rose City Axles of Annihilation taking on Arch Rival. Arch Rival came out victorious. They will face the winner of this game tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And for jam number 2, Gin and Jukes jamming for Victoria. Rachel Rotten with the star for Angel City. Rachel Rotten pushing towards the front. Cuts back, shouldered to the ground, back up. And finally through, that was number 66, Barry, with the late hip check, but first lead jammer for Angel City as Rachel Rotten cutting through. We also have a couple of penalties, 2 of the Victorian Roller Derby League skaters in the penalty box. Gin and Jukes has now pulled the star off as Rachel Rotten completed that first scoring pass, now in for a second. Oh, nice little behind the back handoff of the star. Lethal now your jammer of record for Victoria. as Rachel Rotten calls off the jam and takes a little shoulder check. That was number 35, Beef. Not potentially having beef, just shouldering Rachel to the ground. Rachel Rotten picks up 7 total. That takes Angel City to 10. Victoria still held scoreless for the jam, sitting at 2 points overall. And we'll roll on for our next run. So we got Ghetto Fabulez lining up with the star for Angel City. Curly Burley jamming for Victoria. Oh, and a high block penalty called, sending Ghetto Fabulez to the penalty box. So that will be power jam now for Curly Burley. Curly Burley sliding towards the front, does break free. Lead jammer for Victoria, second lead they've had in the game. They're alternating so far, a whole 3 jams in. We can clearly go straight to a trend. Curly Burley, toe stop, tiptoes up the outside, picks up the 4 points. Now rolling back through as Ghetto Fabulez standing in the penalty box. Victoria with 1 blocker in the penalty box. That would be number 20, LaRange, serving the direction of play penalty. Ghetto Fabulez now out. 2 blockers at the back, holding, make that 3 at the back, holding on, 3 at the front, holding to Curly Burley. Angel has to send a couple back to Bridge as Psycho and OMG WTF holding on the bridge. Curly Burley now just on the blocking sled, shoving and shoving, trying to get through at the front. Finally gets things pushed enough to the forward as Death Down Under has to let him go. So 4 more up, now 8 total on the jam for Victoria. Curly Burley back in for a second. Ghetto Fabulez still, I believe, working on the initial pass, possibly the first scoring pass. As the time is ticking, 23 seconds to go in the jam. Curly Burley now with all 4 Angel City blockers and a couple of their own, trying to bump things around. Curly Burley taps the hips, calls off the jam. Curly Burley adds 3 more. And that is our first lead change technically of the game, isn't it? 13 now for VRDL, 10 points for Angel as they were held scoreless in that last jam. Angel City rolling out Schadenfreude to jam in this next set up against number 4,000 Anna Payvuova as we are back to jam number 1 as far as the jammers go. Both teams full strength. There's no one on the block, and Anna Payvuova out quickly, grabs lead jammer. So Angel City, or Victoria rather, now with lead 3 of the 4 jams total. Star pass to Crackerjack from Angel City. Anna Payvuova calls off the jam. No points collected on either side. So we will sit 13-10. And as we set up for jam number 5, Gin and Jukes with the star for Victoria. And number 507, Rachel Rotten, back out to jam for Angel City. Rachel Rotten going up the outside. Gin and Jukes slides up the inside, grabs lead as Rachel Rotten bumped out and had to recycle back. Rotten now trying the inside, cutting across to the middle, but just held up by the tripod of Victoria. Gin and Jukes back engaged and does get clear on the inside edge. Just dancing up the line to pick up the 4 points. Rachel Rotten still trapped at the front. Was an attempted offense earlier, but nothing doing. Gin and Jukes back in as the team rolls through. Oh, and a cut track called on Rachel Rotten. Rotten thought they were free, but no. Outside pack ref catches it. And Gin and Jukes gets to the front, says, I've got all 4 points. Let's just call the jam off and give a nice long power start. So 507 will roll forward into jam number 6. And Victoria will roll out number 83, Curly Burley. Both teams running a 3-skater rotation at the on the jammer line. So Curly Burley with a power start. Almost a full 30 seconds. Rachel Rotten still sitting in the penalty box. Curly Burley out. Grabs lead jammer. Direction of play penalty called on Hells Yeah from Victoria. Hells sitting down, so that's a 1-skater advantage in the pack. As Curly Burley pushing to the outside, Rachel Rotten now released, rolling counter directionally back to get to the pack. Has an offensive lead coming from Blackman, but not able to get through as Victoria just letting the blocker through and then closing back up. Rachel Rotten again trying to the inside. Curly Burley held up well by Angel City. Finally finds room on the outside to roll through for the first 4 points of the jam. Victoria now sitting at 25. Angel City held to 10. Rachel Rotten bumped to the infield, rolling all the way back as Barry with the drawback to the opposing pivot line. Curly Burley does clear, 4 more, 8 total on the jam. Now Curly Burley coming in for a 3rd pass as Rachel Rotten just held at the back. Angel City moving to try some sweeping to break things free. Low Betancourt trying to knock things down, not able to. Star has been passed, however, now. Rachel Rotten handing off to Crackerjack. And Crackerjack finds room, breaks through the pack. Curly Burley says that's all well and good, but I'm calling off the jam. Curly Burley picks up 1 more. So a total of 13 on the jam. Victoria now 34. Angel City 10 with 21 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the first half of game number 2 of the Hometown Throwdown. And back again to the top of the jammer rotation. Anna Pavuova jamming for Victoria. Schadenfreude with the star for Angel City. And Anna Pavuova quickly making good work of the pack, but Schadenfreude right there as well. Schadenfreude giving chase as the pack speeds up, trying to maintain about a half lap. Both teams full strength. Lethal from Victoria trying to bust out and capture Octane Jane as a goat at the back, not able to do so. And Angel City doing some good congratulations on, hey, we stayed ahead and we knocked everything out. Nice little race, 0-0 jam. We stay 34-10. Gin and Juice set to jam for Victoria. Ghetto Fabulez back out with the star for Angel City. Again, both teams at full strength. Ghetto Fabulez pushing to the outside, now back to the middle, and just a locked up tripod at the front from Victoria. Snappa has to hold in the middle as a pivot. Now getting a little offense to try and break Ghetto Fabulez free. Little offense on both sides. Gin and Jukes trying on the inside, forced out of bounds. Ghetto Fabulez pushing at the front, 1 skater to beat. Barry holding and holding at the end of the line as the pack continues to scroll out. Ghetto Fabulez does pick up lead, and Barry picks up the penalty. So that will shrink the VRDL offense or blocker core down by 1. Ghetto Fabulez now on the scoring pass as Gin and Jukes finally breaks free, completes the initial. And Ghetto Fabulez checks in with the ref, calls off the jam, 3 points up. That is the first points for Angel City since jam number 2 takes them to 13. And Victoria held scoreless for a second jam straight, now with 34. As we're ticking down, 18:40 to go in the first period. Rachel Rotten squaring off with Curly Burley again at the jammer line. Angel City with a 1 skater advantage. All 3 Victoria blockers at the front. Psycho rolling forward to provide some offense, then breaks back to Bridge. Curly Burley trapped at the back. Barry for Victoria now returning from the penalty box applies a little offensive shove, trying to break Curly Burley free. Rachel Rotten, meanwhile, at the front, also trapped as the heavy defense battle continuing. Psycho again slides in, bounces, not able to shake anything loose, cycles back, now again pushing to the front. But Rachel Rotten just not able to take any advantage, as Barry also trying to give a little offensive assist and get Curly Burley out. We're a minute into this jam, have made a half a lap, and no lead jammer yet. Octane Jane now pushing forward to do some offense, but Curly Burley able to escape first lead jammer Victoria. Rachel Rotten popping out about a half a lap behind. Both packs reset, and by reset I mean just start mixing it up, because Victoria wants to knock everybody out of the way, make a nice open lane for Curly Burley to grab the 4 points and call off the jam. With that 4, we now sit 38-13. And roll off to go again. As I mentioned earlier, winner of this game will face arch rival tomorrow evening in our quarterfinal round. That'll be at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Loser comes back at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon to face the Rose City Axles of Annihilation. Schadenfreude jamming for Angel City. Vanessa Shredgrave on the jammer line for the first time this afternoon for Victoria, and breaks up the outside to grab lead jammer. Schadenfreude, cap in hand, forced out of bounds as Vanessa Shredgrave back in, throwing shoulders and rolling, checks at the bench. Should I call it off? No, let's just keep going. What the heck? Schadenfreude pushing, trying, and attempted a little bit of offense coming from Blackman, as the Angel City defense moving to offense, and star pass complete for Angel City. Schadenfreude handing off to Crackerjack. Crackerjack clears the pack. 4 points for Vanessa Shredgrave, who bumped out of bounds, skates backwards, calls off the jam. And that will take the Victorian Roller Derby League to 43 and 13 still for Angel City. Reload jam number 11. Gin and Jukes, number 23 with the star for Victoria. Ghetto Fabulez jamming for Angel City, but Gin and Jukes, no Jukes needed, just sprints up the outside quickly, breaks free, grabs lead jammer. Ghetto Fabulez almost clear, but knocked to the infield. Quick work cutting back to the middle and getting back around. As Gin and Jukes picks up a couple calls off the jam. Victoria playing the time control game, like use the lead, get a couple of points, don't worry about completing the pass, just maintain control, burn some time off the clock, and a timeout has been called. And that gives me a moment to mention this Welcome to PDX timeout. This timeout is brought to you by Rose City Rollers Realtor Deb Counts-Tabor. Welcome to PDX. Thanks to Welcome to PDX for sponsoring this tournament. We'd also like to thank WSL Leadership Coaching. Help you be more awesome in your work, sport, and life. WSL Leadership Coaching. There to help with the coaching and the leadership. And we also want to thank Ritual Dyes, a unique shop and dye studio in Southeast Portland, owned by a Rose City Rose Petals parent. The Rose Petals, the junior league associated with Rose City, not playing in this tournament because they're a little too small, a little too young, but give them time. They will be out here. Several former juniors participating in this this tournament, including Psycho for Angel City. Back out, 5-second call has gone up. Anna Pavyuova set to jam against Schadenfreude. And Anna Pavyuova inside lane, lead jammer. And a forearm penalty being called will thin out the Victoria line. As Anna Pavyuova swings up the outside. Did the foot stay in? It did. 4 quick points. As Schadenfreude, a little shoulder shake to get past the front, puts the cap back on the helmet. Is now ready to earn points if it wasn't for Gin and Jukes calling off the jam, or Anna Pavyuova rather. So Anna adding 2 more to the total. That takes Victoria to an even 50. Angel City held at 13. Victoria sending a new jammer out. That is number 08, Pulp Friction. Rachel Ratten jamming for Angel City. Rachel forced out of bounds. Pulp Friction, trying to duck under. Not quite able to, as the front tripod of Angel City anchored well, and Pulp Friction just trying to work up the middle. Nothing doing now, jumping to the side. Rachel Ratten, meanwhile, same exact position effectively, trying to get through the middle. Victoria sending Beef number 35 up to provide a little offensive assist, but Angel City quickly spinning back the 4th blocker to hold on, and now another rotation as Crackerjack coming back to provide some offense, trying to break Rachel Ratten free. Packs coming together, Rachel Ratten looking towards the inside, but not able to make a break that way. As Victoria just locking down that inside line. Meanwhile, on the outside, Pulp Friction working against all 4 blockers for Angel City. Again, an attempt to break it up coming from Beef, but Angel quickly absorbing the hit and able to break things out. But finally, Pulp Friction does work out the front. Almost a minute and a half of jam time and about a quarter of a lap. Barely out of turn 2. And they finally get there. That was a beautiful move. Pulp Friction jumping in, ducking low, getting around. Rachel Ratten also finally clears the pack. 4 points up for Pulp Friction. Approaching on the second scoring pass, runs into their own blocker, taps the hips, calls off the jam. Rachel Ratten held scoreless. Pulp Friction adding 2 more to the total. So back-to-back 6-point jams. Taking Victoria up to 56. Angel City again held scoreless at 13, and we're down to 11:40 to go in the first period. We're adjusting that down from 6 to 5. Only 1 point on the second pass for Pulp Friction. Ghetto Fabulez out to jam against Vanessa Shredgrave. Ghetto Fabulez pushing towards the front, had some assistance from 94 Octane Jane, but Octane Jane having to break back to help with the defense, as Victoria also providing some offense, and Vanessa Shredgraves ducks under the late hip check attempt. Breaks out the front, grabs lead jammer. Ghetto Fabulez up to the inside, high steps over a couple of skates and clears the pack as well. Vanessa Shredgrave calls off the jam. Ghetto Fabulez, a nice little cut to the inside. And we sit with 1 point on the jam for Victoria, now 56-13. Booga set to jam for Victoria, as Angel City jamming Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude pushing on the front of the pack, looking to the outside. Booga swinging up the inside, a swing and a miss by number 42, Blackman, trying to knock Booga out of bounds, not able to do so. And Booga works past Crackerjack to clear the pack and grab lead jammer. Schadenfreude, meanwhile, for Angel City. Star in hand, trying the outside now, forced to the in. Lethal just playing the, I'm going to sit on this jammer and not let them go anywhere. Lethal now back teamed up with the rear tripod for Victoria as Victoria loses number 20, LaRage to the penalty box. That is LaRage's third penalty of the game. Star pass complete. Cracker Jack picking up the star for the fourth time, I believe, in this game so far. And Buga calmly stands, taps the hips, calls off the jam. 4 points for Victoria. Another shutout for Angel City, now sitting 60-13 with 8 minutes 45 seconds to go in the first period. Voltarine to Slayer, jamming for Angel City for the first time this afternoon. Up against Curly Burley, and Voltarine finds room, pushes to the front, grabs lead jammer. This is the first lead that Angel City has had since, I believe jam number 8. So ending quite the run for Victoria. Curly Burley now star in hand as Voltarine to Slayer dodges around OMG. OMG then shoved out of bounds for good measure. Voltarine pushing at the front, trying to get the hips past, does duck through, getting around LaRage, and picks up 4 points. Meanwhile, Curly Burley holding the star and pushing at the front, but that tripod not letting anything go. Voltarine to Slayer. One to beat as Victoria with a wonderful, very energetic waterfall to the front. Trying to knock things about and finally busting Curly Burley free. Voltarine to Slayer, one skater to beat, now 2. As Hells Yeah rolls to the front to provide a little assistance. Voltarine calls off the jam, did complete the full 4 on the second pass, so 8 total, taking us to 21-60. As Victoria held scoreless for the first time since, again, Jam 8. Last time they were held scoreless was the last time that Angel City had lead. Ghetto Fabulez back out to jam against number 08, Pulp Friction. Pulp Friction trying the outside lane and able to break free. Just sneaks past Queen Luzia Tifa to grab lead jammer. Ghetto Fabulez held at the back. Pulp Friction bounces off the pack, comes through, 4 points. Ghetto Fabulez, star in hand, forced out of bounds, tries to go to the inside and bumped out again. Pulp Friction finding enough room on the outside edge to grab 4 more. Both teams now back to full strength as Pulp Friction just able to keep the feet just in bounds. Excellent shoulder shot from Blackman to slow down Pulp Friction, but not able to stop as the pack was moving farther back and Blackman having to hold up a bit. Star pass complete. This is the 5th star pass for Angel City. First to Blackman. Pulp Friction calls off the jam, picked up 2 more, a total of 14 points on the jam, and that will let us sit 74-21 with just under 5.5 minutes to go in this first period of play. Vanessa Shredgrave wearing the star for Victoria. Schadenfreude jamming for Angel City. Schadenfreude looking to the outside, but just bumped out and had to recycle in. Meanwhile, Vanessa Shredgrave bumping, and has to let go and heading to the penalty box. Both jammers go into the box. So no lead jammer for this jam. We will have a quick swap in and out. We had a cut track penalty on Vanessa Shredgrave and an illegal contact on Schadenfreude. They are both in and out very quickly, and they both get back to the packet basically the same time. So we'll just continue, and we'll run for another minute 20 and not have to worry about who's lead. Schadenfreude is out first. Would have been lead with except for that illegal contact penalty. Meanwhile, Victoria with having Vanessa Shredgrave back into the penalty box for a back block. So it is a power jam now for Schadenfreude. Victoria had lost Snappa to the box on an illegal position penalty, but they are back out having served that. And Vanessa Shredgrave also back out of the penalty box. Has the star in hand. Possibly looking for the pivot, but Barry the pivot is busy being a kickstand at the front and trying to keep Schadenfreude from going anywhere. And doing a quality job of it as well as Schadenfreude held up. Vanessa Shredgrave finally clears and completes the initial pass. 15 seconds to go in the jam. Schadenfreude trapped at the front, tried to cut through. Vanessa Shredgrave makes a complete run through the pack as the time ticks down. 2-1, that is the jam. 4 points for Victoria and 4 points for Angel City. So your difference stands the same. Still a 53-point game, but 78-25 now. And we're down under 3 minutes, 2:47 to go in the first period of our second day of the 2023 Hometown Throwdown, and a timeout called by the Victoria Roller Derby League. Let's correct that. It's an official review. But I'm guessing from the lack of people up in the middle that it's an official review used as a timeout because you got 2:41 left. Might as well call it and take it as a timeout. We would love if you would help make our sponsors happy. Snap, post, and tag, hashtag RCR sponsor. You could win VIP tickets to one of our games if you're in the Portland area. You can do this on the road, too, if you're watching us from, let's say, Los Angeles or, Australia, wherever you are. You can use the hashtag. Sure, you might win tickets, and then you'd have to fly to Portland, but how bad could that be? We also have some new Rose City merch. Head to the website, get all your Rose City Rollers swag, and rep your favorite teams. So head over to the Rose City Rollers website for all your Rose City merchandise needs. We'd also like to thank 187 Killer Pads, often imitated, never duplicated. Stick with the best 187 Killer Pads. So as we swing down to our halftime of this game, coming up next in Game 3, that will be at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Please adjust for your local time zone. Yeah, it's still, by the way, daylight time in the Pacific time zone because we're weird like that. Denver will take on Montreal in our next game. All right, back to the action. 5-second call has been called. Booga set to jam for Victoria. Voltarinda Slayer jamming for Angel City. Voltarinda Slayer trying the outside but caught in the back. Booga looking to the outside as Angel City losing Low Betancourt to the penalty box. Booga almost through. One to beat. Does get around Whiskey Von Sweets to pick up lead jammer. Voltarinda Slayer passes the star off to Blackman. And Blackman giving chase quickly, forces the early call off and able to steal a point. So a 4-1, and if you're scoring at home, and why wouldn't you? Please put that 1 point for Angel City onto Blackman, number 42. and not number 87, Victorian Deslay, who had plenty of points in their last jam. Minute 38 to go in the period. Rachel Rotten jamming against Pulp Friction. Pulp Friction slipping to the floor and then absorbed by the tripod anchored by OMG. Rachel Rotten able to sneak around the inside, grabs lead jammer. Great track awareness and good ability to force the pack just enough away from that corner to be able to step through. And this time Rachel Rotten, perfect impact to the hips of beef to pick up the 4 points and continue rolling on. Jam clock over the period clock. We've got a minute 26 to go in the jam and about a minute now on the period clock. Star pass to Barry. And Barry comes into the back and low Betancourt says, no, I think you will take a seat. Barry did, however, pick up 1 point. Rachel Rotten grabbing 4 more. So an 8-1 jam win for Angel City takes them to 35. Victoria at 83. Trimming down that difference now, 48 points between the teams. And we will get 1 more jam in, and we'll also get a timeout called, official timeout. The official timeout adjusting or confirming the point. Should mention our skating officials for this game: Kurt So Good, Bambi Lance, Kira Duncan, Scary B. Cheesus, Candyman, S. No, Extra Crispy, and Mass. Thanks to them for all their work. Blowing the whistles, pointing at people. Officials always important. Otherwise, it would just be chaos and madness. We have enough of that elsewhere. All right. Skating officials heading back into position. 23 seconds on the period clock. We did not just suddenly jump back almost a half an hour. So this should be the final jam. Oh, and a beautiful run up the outside by Schadenfreude. Number 26 grabs lead jammer as Shreds, number 21, Vanessa Shredgrave, knocked to the ground and still caught at the pivot line level. Schadenfreude pushing on the Victoria tripod, shoved out of bounds as Lethal providing a little extra oomph to encourage Schadenfreude out of bounds, and then Lethal heading to the penalty box because it was not quite legal. It was a directional play penalty called. 4 points up for Schadenfreude. And that will take us to intermission. Angel City with 39 at the half. Victoria stays at 83, a 44-point game. And we will take a brief break. We will be back with the second half of game number 2 of the 2023 Hometown Throwdown. Victoria Roller Derby League versus Angel City. You are watching this tournament on the Rose City Rollers YouTube channel. Stick
like
All right, we are back for the second half. Victoria Roller Derby League versus Angel City. Looking at the penalty board, nobody in big trouble. Although for VRDL, LaRage has 4 penalties. Low Betancourt leading the count for Angel City with 2. Overall, Victoria has more skaters with penalties than Angel City, for what that matters. You've got Vanessa Shredgrave with 2. Hells Yeah has 2 as well. Barry Lethal also having 2 each. And Snappa and Beef with 1. And on the Angel City side, Schadenfreude, Rachel Rotten, Ghetto Fabulez, and Psycho all have 1. I won't do the math to add it up, and my little dashboard doesn't add it up for me. So we'll just stick with that number. Oh, actually it does. Sorry, 14 for VRDL. 6 total penalties for Angel City. And we're sitting 83-39. Rachel Rotten set to jam for Angel City. Trying to look at the total stats for Rachel Rotten. Jammed 6 times in the first period. Is the leading scorer for Angel City with 15 total points. Curly Burley, leading scorer for Victoria with 28 total. And with the whistle, we are going. Gin and Jukes jamming for Victoria. As I mentioned, Rachel Rotten with the star for Angel City. Rachel Rotten pushing to the front. Gin and Jukes was forced to the infield, had to recycle back, now trapped at the back behind Death Down Under and Octane Jane in that tripod, with Psycho helping on the kickstand there. Rachel Rotten almost through, but a penalty called. Cut track for Gin and Jukes. Gin and Jukes not at all laughing their way to the Laughing Planet penalty box, where they will sit for a minute, and Rachel Rotten slides on the knee, picks up lead, not out of bounds, and a couple of blockers for Victoria, having to recycle back on the outside to get in position, and that's allowing Angel City rather to keep them split up a bit. Rachel Rotten cuts through, picks up 4 points, and a cut track penalty off to the Laughing Planet penalty box. Goes number 9, Lethal, the pivot for Victoria, as Gin and Jukes completes serving that penalty, is out. Has the star in hand, no one to pass it to, of course, as Lethal sitting in the box. Rachel Rotten at the front, pushing away. Octane Jane tries to break things free, but Victoria able to hold pressure and just absorb the hit, and then recover again. Rachel Rotten stepping out on both sides, but no run back. Just Victoria kind of content to just keep Rachel Rotten locked. Hold on. Star now passed as Gin and Jukes hands it off to Lethal. Lethal coming out of the penalty box to pick that up. Jam is called by Rachel Rotten. I think I saw 4. We're showing 5 on the scoreboard. We'll see if that adjusts. All right, looks like not adjusting. So, there goes the other 4. All right, 48-83 our score. Pulp Friction jamming against Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude out to the front. Pulp Friction trapped at the back by 3 blockers for Angel City. Taken to the track, but back up. Angel City's Whiskey Von Sweets serving as the bridge. Joined by a Victoria blocker whose number I can't see. As Schadenfreude trapped at the front, pushing, nothing doing though. As LaRage just holding that tripod to steady. And now they roll around sideways. Pulp Friction also gaining no traction. We're down a minute into the jam, and we haven't made it out of turn 1 completely as a pack. Schadenfreude trying to dip low, breaks contact and trying again. A little spin to the outside, nothing doing. Down to a knee as Pulp Friction also pushing to the outside, but the tripod able to squeeze back together. Crackerjack able to force Pulp Friction back into contact with Low Betancourt. Lethal the pivot, holding on at the front as Schadenfreude continually slipping to the ground and then back up and then re-engaging as the pack is stretching and stretching. And LaRage calls out, hey, we need to slide this back a little farther forward. Not able to do so. So with 9 seconds left in the jam, we finally have a lead jammer as Schadenfreude has picked up lead, comes in to try and grab a point, has at least one bouncing off of Madden, I believe that was, holding that last block. 2 points up for Schadenfreude. And an official review called by Angel City. As we sit 83-49. And we've got Ghetto Fabulous standing alone at the jam line. Our jam line brought to you by Jam on Hawthorne. It's Portland's best vegan-friendly, booze-friendly, kid-friendly, omnivore-friendly, everybody-friendly breakfast. Thanks to the Jam on Hawthorne for sponsoring us. Also this time out, brought to you by Welcome to PDX. If you're ready to move to PDX and join RCR, let Welcome to PDX help you find a home. Because when you're moving to a new place, you need somebody to help you find a home. And if you're moving to Portland, Welcome to PDX can help with that. We'd also like to thank the following sponsors: Portland Vital Signs, Reverend's Barbecue, Porque No Taqueria, Two Rivers Mortgage, She-Bop, Menopause Northwest, Biggs Chicken, and Fran's Bakery. Thanks to all of them for sponsoring the Rose City Rollers and this hometown throwdown tournament. Always a good time. Got some great games today and through the weekend. We earlier in game one saw arch rival beat Rose City's Axles of Annihilation. We're in the middle of game two. Victoria leading Angel City. Coming up next, you'll see Denver taking on Montreal. That game starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. And we end the day with the Rose City Wheels of Justice taking on Black Diaspora. That game 7:30 local time. And we get going all over again tomorrow morning with our first game. I think our first game is at noon. I would have to look at, got a different sheet for that. So clearly, Scott Chicken, untrained announcer, not having the right sheets in front. I do know that the winner of this game will face arch rival in game number 7 for the tournament. That's our 5 p.m. Pacific time game tomorrow evening. So be sure to come back for that. Also like to thank Black Cat Plumbing.
Angel City was challenging the points on the jam before the previous jam. The scoreboard is currently correct. Angel City will lose their official review.
All right. Thank you, refs and officials, getting the scoreboard straight. It was showing 48 for a second there, but they did adjust it up to 50. And we are ready to roll. Next on the Jam on Hawthorne jammer line, we have number 617, Ghetto Fabulous, set to jam against number 29, Booga. And Booga trying the outside. Ghetto Fabulous also, and Ghetto Fabulous through. Ghetto Fabulous lead jammer, swinging in on the scoring pass, and Victoria closing things down. Psycho tried to break it up free, but had to give up and roll back to bridge as Booga finally clears, completes the initial. Ghetto Fabulous calls off the jam. 4 points up for Angel City. And we've got Victoria held scoreless all 3 jams of this period, and now we're sitting 83-54. That differential dipping down to 29 points now with 24 and a half minutes to go in the game. Voltarine de Slayer with the star for Angel City, jamming against Vanessa Shredgrave for Victoria. And Vanessa Shredgrave going over the back of number 42. I think that was 42 Blackman. In any case, pushing towards the front, one to beat, and finally clear. Gets past Whiskey Von Sweets. Vanessa Shredgrave is lead jammer and trapped again, pushing on the pack as Voltarine de Slayer with the star in hand. Trapped at the back, looking to get the star maybe to Octane Jane. Then again, maybe not. Octane Jane right there, but providing some offensive blocking, trying to open a lane for Voltarine, but nothing doing. As Vanessa Shredgrave through with 4. Looks to the outside, bumped out of bounds. And rolling back, Crackerjack and Whiskey Von Sweets teaming up to guard the outside lane. And with that, Vanessa Shredgrave calls off the jam. A 4-0 run, 87-54. And Voltarine de Slayer finishing, not having even passed the pivot line, I don't think. As Victoria tightening up the defense heavily on that last jam. Pack starting at the pivot line, rolling back towards the jammer line. Rachel Rotten jamming against Curly Burley. Curly Burley pushing to the front, gets an offensive bit of a blocking assist from Snappa and breaks free to grab lead jammer. Rachel Rotten caught in the back, checking over the shoulder, looking to maybe provide some defense, but then just locked up the inside, pushing up the inside edge. Bumped to the ground and not able to take advantage as Curly Burley, close to the outside lane, cuts back to the middle, picks up the 4 points, and back on the run, heading back for the pack. Rachel Rotten once again trapped and pushing at the front. As the Angel City pack regrouping. OMG WTF trying to shoulder out Curly Burley. Curly Burley able to resist and stay in bounds. 4 more points. As Rachel Rotten now 1 to beat. Only skater left at the front was number 66, Barry, the pivot. Curly Burley cuts through quickly, grabs 4 more points, calls off the jam. A 12-point run for Victoria. Ends their second half drought and takes them to 99 total. Angel City held to 54. And we're back up to a 45-point game. We'd like to thank Rebel Heart Therapy, individual and relational therapy for Portland's Black Sheep and Unicorns. Back at it, Gin and Jukes jamming against Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude almost clear, but just enough pressure from Lethal to slide Schadenfreude's feet out of bounds. Has to recycle all the way back. Gin and Jukes also bumped out. Low Betancourt on the run back. As Gin and Jukes trying the outside edge, whistle blows. Somebody's going somewhere, maybe. Gin and Jukes certainly going somewhere, and that is out the front of the pack as lead jammer. That was Lethal picking up the penalty, serving a forearm. Also, Octane Jane heading to the penalty box for illegal position. And Gin and Jukes takes a heavy shot, calls off the jam from the ground. A 3-0 run, taking Victoria over the 100-point mark now, 102-54. Ghetto Fabulez back out to jam for Angel City. Anna Pavuova jamming for the first time this half. High block called on Psycho. So that will thin out the Angel City pack, making both sides even with 2 blockers apiece. So for Angel City, you got Death Down Under and OMG. And for Victoria, you got Beef and Barry. And we got Pavey as your lead jammer. Anna Paviova picking up lead. Ghetto Fabula is also clear as the penalty box empties out quickly. But Anna Paviova picks up 4, calls off the jam before Ghetto Fabulous can get back 106-54. And a timeout called by the Victorian Roller Derby League. With 19 minutes, 10 seconds to go in the game. This is their first actual timeout of the game. Each team now has burned 1. This timeout brought to you by Rose City Rollers Realtor. Welcome to PDX. And again, if you're ready to move to Portland and join Rose City, let Welcome to PDX help you find a home. Our Laughing Planet penalty box currently empty. Laughing Planet Cafe serving food that's good for people and the planet. And then as I say it's empty, I look and I'm like, oh no, Psycho's still sitting in the penalty box. I just, for some reason, ignored that far right chair. Psycho currently with 2 penalties, serving the high block. No one in any trouble. Victoria now has 2 skaters with 4. LaRage, who had 4 coming out of the half, and Lethal also now on 4. Angel City's highest penalty count is 2. So no one currently in danger of being asked to vacate the track. I'd like to thank Sasquatch HR, making nonprofit and small business workplaces better. SasquatchHR.org. Speaking of ORG, G for Gin and Jukes is your lead jammer. Schadenfreude jamming for Angel City, but not able to get free. Forced to the infield now, pulls off the star. Pivot for Angel City. Psycho rolls in almost with the handoff. Didn't quite get it, now has it in hand. And a penalty called. Cut track on Gin and Jukes. So Psycho now with the star and the power jam. Minute 26 to go in the jam. We will go that full range. Angel City turning to offense, but Victoria able to absorb, break free, and come back up. Angel City trying to trap Lethal as the goat at the back, not able to do so. And Psycho forced out of bounds, rolls back behind LaRage. As the LaRage and Madden teaming up at the back to gather things up. Finally, Psycho looking for room on the outside. Nothing doing. Steps out of bounds, has to roll back again. Gin and Jukes out of the penalty box. Penalty kill complete. And number 23 back to it. Penalty sending Blackman to the Laughing Planet penalty box. Direction of play, the call. Gin and Jukes on a scoring pass. Both jammers on scoring passes. Gin and Jukes finally gets the pressure to the outside, cuts back in. 4 points up. We got 20 seconds to go in the jam. Psycho pushing at the front, but trapped up. Leaning in with the head as the helmet cover starting to work its way off. And Psycho realizes, takes it, pulls it, pops it back on as time runs out on the jam. 4 more points up for Victoria. 4 points as well for Psycho in Angel City. So we go to 114.58. And just under 17 minutes to go in our game. I'd like to thank 888, the certified sweat saver, developed, tested, and trusted by the best. Booga jamming against Volturine to Slayer. And a big mess in the middle of the pack. Booga comes out the other side. Going chest to chest with Death Down Under, which is appropriate for a team from Australia. to go up against the blocker named Deathman down under. But Booga is clear and is your lead jammer. Voltering to Slayer. Caught up by the tripod at the front. Now things breaking up. OMG trying to bust it up a bit, not able to. Voltering also bumps to a knee. Booga out the front, 4 points for Victoria. Hells Yeah, forced out of bounds. Slowly regrouping and gathering as Voltering to Slayer. Star in hand, pushing at the front. Beef, last line of defense. The bridge just flowing farther and farther. No pack finally called. Voltering to Slayer with 48 seconds left in the jam is clear of the pack. And a penalty. I missed the call. Cut track called on Booga, so another power jam. Booga's sitting still, so at least another 10 seconds or so now as Booga has stood up. Victoria doing a great job of running the pack forward to slow down the ability for Voltering to Slayer to pick up any points. Now one skater to beat, that is Barry the pivot. Voltering pushing and pushing as the pack spreads out. Booga out of the penalty box. As one player from each team in that box. Booga trying to jump the side, not quite able to land in bounds. Voltering to Slayer picks up 4 points as time runs out on the jam. And 4 more up for Booga and Victoria. An 8-4 jam, 122 to 62. A 60-point game. That's math even I can do in my head. Didn't have to look at the screen at all. So starting off Jam 10, we will have 3 blockers on the track for each team. 507, Rachel Rotten, set to jam. For Angel City, Vanessa Shredgrave, number 21 with the star for VRDL. Both blockers out of the box and kind of in combat on the way back to the pack. As the pack starts to squeeze out, looked like Vanessa Shredgrave might break free, but forced out of bounds. Rachel Rotten also trying at the front, but bumped out as Octane Jane trying to break pieces off of that tripod, not quite able to do so. Vanessa Shredgrave cutting up the outside, shouldered by Crackerjack, and now both jammers rolling back all the way, at least for Rachel Rotten, all the way to the jammer line. Vanessa Shredgrave able to enter a little bit earlier, picks up lead jammer. Minute 5 to go in the jam. Rachel Rotten forced out to the inside. Now with star in hand. Reaching towards Octane Jane. But Victoria on it and assigning a blocker to kind of hold on to Octane Jane as Vanessa Shredgrave through for 4. First points of the jam, now 42 seconds to go. Rachel Rotten tiptoeing up the outside or inside line. Almost through, does break free, getting past Beef. And Rachel Rotten now star back on the helmet with 26 seconds to go. Vanessa Shredgrave says that's enough of that. Calls off the jam, 3 points up for Victoria. A 7-0 jam, 129 to 62. Ghetto Fabulez joined by Curly Burley at the Jam on Hawthorne Jam line. Both teams full strength. Curly Burley looking up the outside edge, but forced out of bounds, back in. Tripped up mid-pack, forearm penalty called on number 94, Octane Jane. And Curly Burley out first, lead jammer for Victoria. Octane Jane now sitting on 4 penalties. Direction of play penalty sending Snappa off to the Laughing Planet penalty box. As Ghetto Fabulez also clears the pack. But Curly Burley able to pick up the points, call off the jam before Ghetto Fabulez can get back. 133-62 with 11:15 go in our game. Winner of this game gets a rest. They don't have to come back to play until tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock local time. The loser of this game will play in our first game at 12:30, 12:25 to 12:30 local time. Tomorrow, early afternoon. Schadenfreude jamming against Gin and Jukes. Gin and Jukes hops over. Just the left leg of Whiskey Von Sweets to grab lead jammer. And a star pass quickly from 26 to 42. Blackman now the jammer of record for Angel City. Blackman not able to get back before Gin and Jukes calls off the jam. Gin and Jukes picks up 3. And we have an official timeout. It looks like Whiskey Von Sweets got a bit shaken up on that play. So yes, looking ahead to tomorrow, 12:30 local time, will be the loser of game 1, which was Axles of Annihilation, versus the loser of this game. At 2:30 tomorrow, we will have the either Denver or Montreal, whichever loses that next game coming up, or Wheels of Justice versus Black Diaspora, which is our 7:30 game. The loser of that will play at 2:30. And then tomorrow evening, as I mentioned, we have the winner of this game taking on arch rival at 5 local time, and the winner of the Denver-Montreal game taking on the winner of Wheels of Justice versus Black Diaspora. That game will be at 7:30 p.m. All coming up tomorrow, and then Sunday we do it all again. Sunday, the winners, or the losing bracket 7th and 8th place game will happen at 11 o'clock in the morning. On Sunday at 1 o'clock, we have our 5th and 6th place game. At 3 o'clock p.m. local time on Sunday will be the 3rd and 4th place game, and at 5:30 we end off the tournament with our championship game, 5:30 local time. Sunday will be standard time because in these United States, time change happens Saturday evening. So be sure you adjust your clocks accordingly. If you are not in the Pacific time zone or not in the United States, adjust as you will. All right, Whiskey Von Sweets up and skating towards the bench, heading off to get checked out by our medical staff. Speaking of medical staff, we'd like to thank ZoomCare. It's the healthcare you need when, where, and how you want it. ZoomCare.com. Thank you to ZoomCare for sponsoring Rose City. And coming off of the injury timeout, we've got another timeout. This called by Victoria, using their second of 3. This timeout again brought to you by our Rose City Rollers Realtor. Welcome to PDX. Thank you to Welcome to PDX for sponsoring this. Also like to thank Two Town Cider, damn fine cider made right here in the Pacific Northwest. If you're in the area, check it out if you're a cider fan, which I am. Two Town Cider, very delicious. Also like to thank Liquid Death. If you know, you know. I'm not trying to be obscure. That's just what it says. And we also want to thank the following sponsors: Die My Darling Hair Salon, Lionheart Kombucha, the Portland Mercury, and Guyaki Yerba Mate. Thanks to all of them for sponsoring the Rose City Rollers and this tournament. If you're in the Portland area and you would like to become a Rose City Rollers volunteer, you certainly should. Help make bouts and skate-mobile events awesome. Go to rosecityrollers.com/volunteer. Always happy to have more people helping out. If you're not in the Portland area and you're planning to move, again, welcome to PDX, and then check in there and you can volunteer once you've made the move. All right, we are back and set to go with number 4,000, Anna Pavuova. set to jam for Victorian Roller Derby League, and Voltarine de Slayer with the star for Angel City. Anna Pavuova, beautiful hop to get around the impending shoulder check from Psycho, grabs lead jammer. That is a string of 9 or 10 straight lead jams for Victoria. I'm too lazy to count. And a cut track called. That's the third had lead, lost lead for Victoria. And a quick in and out as Voltarine de Slayer also had a cut track. So another 2-minute jam, well, minute 18 to go now. Voltarine de Slayer on the scoring pass, or Anna Pavuova on the scoring pass. Voltarine, I believe, still on the initial. But both defenses tightening up. Psycho providing some offensive assistance to Voltarine, but again, as has been happening the entire game, Victoria fully able to absorb. Angel City also absorbing the offense attempts from Victoria, but this time Victoria able to just open up enough of a lane on the outside for Pavey to break through. Anna Pavuova 4 points up as we're down to 35 seconds to go in this jam. 8:50 in the period. Another whistle blown. That will send a blocker for Victoria to the penalty box. So each team with one blocker in the box. You've got Death Down Under sitting for Angel City. Beef now sitting for Victoria. 4 points up. 12 total on the jam for Anna Pavuova as we got 9 seconds to go. And Voltarine de Slayer finally, star in hand, exits the pack, completes the initial pass. But time will run out prior to any ability to get back. 2 more up for Anna Pavuova. A 14-0 jam. We sit 150 to 62. And 8 minutes to go in the game. Five-second call, Curly Burley jamming against Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude whips it up the outside edge. Beautiful run, grabs lead jammer, first lead jam for Angel City since jam 3. They had a streak of 3 in the row to start the half, and then nothing till now. And a nice little apex jump. That killer apex jump brought to you by Killer Burger. Killer Burger, if you're looking for a delicious hamburger, that's a place to get them if you're in Portland. And a second Killer Burger apex jump. Schadenfreude, a quick 8 points before Curly Burley even able to exit the pack. Curly Burley is free now. Angel City making things chaotic in the pack. 3 more points up, an 11-point jam. And a late penalty called, lethal for Victoria, picking up an illegal contact. That is Lethal's 5th penalty in the game. So we got 2 skaters serving penalties for Victoria. One of them being Curly Burley, the jammer. So both the jammer and the pivot in for the same illegal contact penalty, which must have been contact after the whistle. And that will give Ghetto Fabulez a power start and lead jammer. And a quick cut through to grab some points. 4 points up on that run. Lethal out of the penalty box. Curly Burley standing. Angel City trying to mix things up, but Victoria now regrouped and adjusting as the pack they weren't trying to run away as much, so it becomes easier to stay and lock down. Curly Burley out of the penalty box on the initial pass. 4 more points up for Ghetto Fabulez. We're down under 6 minutes to go in the game. 81-150, a 69-point game at this point. Ghetto Fabulez cutting to the outside, but quickly caught by Lethal. Ghetto Fabulez moving towards the inside as Angel City losing a blocker to the penalty box. Curly Burley finally clears the pack. Ghetto Fabulez checks the line, calls off the jam, did collect one more, so a 9-point run. Bringing Angel City to 20 total over the last 2 jams, now sitting at 82. Victoria held at 150. Rachel Rotten getting ready to jam. Victoria watching the clock, calling a timeout. They will use their final timeout. Oh, official review as a timeout. So Victoria figuring we're up by 68. The odds of needing an official review to officially review something in 4 minutes, 54 seconds, probably not that huge. Rest the skaters, burn some clock. If you're in the Portland area, you can spend winter break with Rose City Rollers at Junior Derby Winter Break Camp, December 18th through 22nd. Register now at rosecityrollers.com/join. And it's never too early to plan your roller derby trips for the spring. Coming up in March of 2024 in North Richland Hills, Texas, the Dallas Derby Devils are hosting the Clover Cup. Tickets and info at clovercup.com. Should be a fun tournament. Clover Cup always good every year, so head over there once again to clovercup.com for more information. All right, now on the Jam on Hawthorne jammer line, Ghetto Fabulez, or Rachel Rotten rather, jamming for Angel City, and Anna Pavuova. Anna Pavuova trying to push right through the middle, but when Lo Betancourt's standing in the middle of the pack, you're not necessarily getting through easily. Rachel Rotten able to grab lead. Anna Pavuova also clear and given chase as the pack speeds up a bit. Victoria again running forward. Blackman trying to catch a blocker and break things off. Rachel Rotten grabs one, and it looks like Anna Pavuova also picked up one, so a jam tie. 151.83. We keep that difference at 68. And we reset with Schadenfreude jamming against Gin and Jukes. Both teams full strength. Laughing Planet penalty box totally empty. Gin and Jukes working against Death Down Under at the front and able to spin around and grab lead. Meanwhile, Schadenfreude with the cap in hand, almost through, but forced to the infield. Now trying the inside edge. That edge closed down. Gin and Jukes on the outside. Forced and rolls through. Bugogi with the run back and a star pass to Psycho for Angel City. That is Angel City's 9th star pass of the game, compared to 3 for Victoria. 4 points up for VRDL with 3 minutes to go. We're at 155-83. And we'll reset with Curly Burley and Ghetto Fabulez. Pack starting forward, now rolling back. Ghetto Fabulez trying the outside back to the in. Curly Burley also trying the inside edge, but forced out of bounds, and Ghetto Fabulez, lead jammer, Angel City. Curly Burley cuts from the inside, working towards the outside. Now back to the in, and a lane opens up. Curly Burley completes the initial pass. Ghetto Fabulez, Lo Betancourt, beautiful work opening the door there to let Ghetto Fabulez through. Picks up 4 calls off the jam, 87-155. And we're ticking down to the 2-minute warning. Anna Pavuova and Voltarine de Slayer at the Jam on Hawthorne jammer line. Jam on Hawthorne, Portland's best vegan-friendly, booze-friendly, kid-friendly, omnivore-friendly, everybody-friendly breakfast. And the whistle blows and away we goes. Volterine to Slayer, pushing at the front, pushing at the front. Nice extra shoulder from Beef to just change the angle out of bounds and force Volterine to roll all the way back to the pivot line. Anna Paviova looking to the inside. Volterine to Slayer out about 3 steps ahead, but Pavy right behind and giving chase and now almost drafting. I like the predatory grin, like, hey, I'm chasing you. I'm going to catch up. Don't worry. Volterine to Slayer. Grabs the quick point, calls off the jam. 3 points up for Volterine to Slayer, and Angel City calls a timeout as we are sitting now 155 to 90. Minute 5 to go in the game. I'd like to thank 888. The certified Sweat Saver helmet from 888 is designed for derby, vert ramps, and everything in between. Once again, thank you to 888. Also thanks to the exclusive protective gear sponsor of Rose City Rollers, 187 Killer Pads. 187 Killer Pads worn by the most pros in the world. If you skate, you know why. Also want to thank Secret Aardvark, the local-made flavor that kicks you in the mouth. So if you're looking to get kicked in the mouth, that is a tasty way to do it, rather than just, I don't know, asking one of your friends to kick you in the mouth, which doesn't sound very pleasant at all. But what do I know? Quick check once again on our penalty board. Only skater in any danger to lethal, number 9 for VRDL with 5. Others highest is 4. Victoria with the lead on the penalty board, 28 total to the 19 total for Angel City. And we're down 1:04 to go. Gin and Jukes jamming against Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude pushing towards the front. 2 blockers to beat. Oh, ducks around, almost free. Yes, free. Gets around lethal, grabs lead. Jammer did not step out of bounds. Star pass attempt, or at least indication coming from Gin and Jukes. But lethal not accepting. And turning back to defense as Schadenfreude forced out of bounds and has to roll back. Lethal now on the kickstand. Holding up to LaRage and Jigglytuff. As Gin and Jukes pushing at the front. 2 skaters bridging away. 14 seconds on the clock. Angel City finally letting go of Gin and Jukes and moving up to do some offense. Nothing doing. Schadenfreude calls off the jam and quickly calls timeout. So we will get one more jam in. No points on that last jam. We stay 155 to 90. And we will get one more Rachel Rotten jam for jam number 21 of our game. There were a couple of points. I was wondering why we didn't see anything. 2 points up in the last jam for Schadenfreude, taking us to 92. Victoria 155. Final thanks to Rogue Ales and Spirits, world-class ales, lagers, spirits, and canned cocktails made right here in Oregon. Rogue Ales and Spirits. And speaking of things to drink and places to do it, Buffalo Gap Saloon and Eatery, thank you for sponsoring Rose City. John's Landing's favorite eatery and saloon. All right, 5 seconds of game time to go. 155-92 is the score. Curly Burley and Rachel Rotten lined up on the Jam on Hawthorne jammer line. Whistle blows, away we go. Period clock now expired, and a forearm penalty called on number 94, Octane Jane. That'll take Octane Jane to 5. Rachel Rotten pushing at the front. Curly Burley, almost through. Rachel Rotten says, not on my watch. Hip check, bumping Curly Burley to the infield. Curly Burley now back up, cuts to the inside this time, grabs lead jammer. So VRDL in control of the clock. Game period clock is over. Rachel Rotten trying on the inside. Curly Burley dodges, almost, doesn't get quite past Psycho, has to roll back, jump back inbounds. Death down under on the kickstand. Rachel Rotten able to push out the front. Curly Burley, lane opened on the inside. Barry sweeping up on the door. Curly Burley calls off the jam. 4 points on the jam. 159-92 is your final unofficial score. So with that, the Victorian Roller Derby League will take on arch rival in the winner's bracket tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And Angel City will come back tomorrow at 12:30 local time. They will take on the Axles of Annihilation in the loser's bracket half of the tournament, working towards a 5th or 6th place finish. And that is now an official final score. So that will close game number 2 of the 2023 Hometown Throwdown. Victoria Roller Derby League is victorious. Stick around, come back in, what time is it now? Very soon, actually, I would guess, because our next game will be Denver versus Montreal. You are watching the Hometown Throwdown live on YouTube.